bolting the new head on today, and the head bolts that came are from Felpro. They come with this white liquid Teflon on the threads, but what we're going to end up doing is wire wheeling them off to get it back down to the bare metal, and then using a Permatex gasket maker to put in the threads here before putting the bolts in. So for the gasket, we're going to be using this Permatex copper spray gasket high temp sealant, spraying in a well ventilated, not so much area. So what I did for the other one was I kind of just sprayed it till it obviously changed color and you couldn't really see any black through it. So when we go to bolt the head on here, what we're going to end up doing is the gasket should tack up here in a couple minutes now. I'm going to put that on, put the head on, and then we're not going to put sealant on the bolts right away. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to go around, go through the pattern, and torque them down to 30 pounds, and then go back through, torque them down to 50. And then what I'm going to end up doing is undoing the bolts in the sequence, putting gasket maker on, putting them back in, and then torquing them down to, I think it was 68, I'll have to double check. It was 68 or 75, somewhere around there. But I'll end up doing that. And so what that's going to do is having all the bolts down at 50 pounds is going to kind of mold the gasket to the deck, and it's going to keep a constant even pressure across the whole thing while I'm putting the gasket maker on the threads of the bolts and then torquing them down in the proper sequence. Studs are here, they're installed. The single rocker from Harlan Sharp showed up, and I test fit that and everything, and it looks like I'd end up having to grind the rocker regardless. So like I had mentioned before, if I'm gonna have to grind a rocker, I'm just gonna grind the set that I already have. So these Scorpions have a ton of material on them. I already tested this rocker just to make sure that the sander that I'm going to be using is actually going to grind this away or sand this away without melting the aluminum. So what I'm doing with the felt tip marker is I'm putting a bit of the marker on top of the spring head here, and what that's going to do is when I put the rocker on here, and cycle the engine, it's going to show me where the roller contacts the top of the valve stem. Now this is hand snug. I'm just going to give it a little turn just to make sure that it's tight on there. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cycle the engine a couple times to make sure that it wears off the marker. All the rockers are ground down now. I made sure to check each one of them on the stud to make sure that they cleared, because it's not exactly, you can't make a jig on the spindle sander really to make sure that they're all uniform. So I just made sure that each one of them cleared with relatively the exact same amount of space. A couple of them had a little bit more clearance than others, but now that that's done, next step is going to be ordering push rods, and then once those arrive, I can assemble the whole top of the engine. Intake can go on, all the push rods will go in, all the rockers will go on, intake manifold, throttle body. We can start hooking up the injectors, the fuel line, and then from there I can take the engine off the stand here. I still have the freeze plug in the back here to put on, the rear main seal, and then I can put the oil pan on.